In the late 19th century, when the American frontier was a land of adventure, lawlessness, and untamed wilderness, one name stood out as a symbol of justice, courage, and the rugged spirit of the West: Wyatt Earp. Born on March 19, 1848, in Monmouth, Illinois, Wyatt Berry Stapp Earp would become one of the most iconic figures in the American Old West. His life's journey, from his early days in the Midwest to his storied adventures as a lawman, gambler, and prospector in the Wild West, is a captivating tale of a man who embodied both the lawlessness and the law enforcement of the frontier era. Wyatt Earp's legacy is forever intertwined with the legends and myths of the American West, and this script will explore his life from birth to death, shedding light on the important events that shaped his extraordinary story. Wyatt Earp's journey through life began on March 19, 1848, in Monmouth, Illinois. He was the fifth of Nicholas and Virginia Earp's 7 children. The Earp family, like many others of the time, moved westward during the westward expansion. As a child, Wyatt experienced the transitional period of the United States, with its rapidly changing social and political landscape. Growing up in a bustling, frontier-oriented town, Wyatt's early life was influenced by the pioneering spirit of the age. His family's move to Pella, Iowa in 1859 was a reflection of this spirit, as many Americans were seeking new opportunities in open lands in the West. However, his young life was marked by a series of losses. His mother died when he was still a child, and his father, who was a farmer and constable, remarried. When the Civil War broke out, Wyatt was too young to serve, but his older brothers joined the Union Army, with James, Virgil, and Morgan participating in various capacities. This early exposure to the Civil War's impact on his family had a profound effect on Wyatt. It marked the first significant event in his life that demonstrated the ever-present influence of the broader national context on his personal journey. As Wyatt Earp grew older, he took on a series of diverse jobs and responsibilities. His experiences during these formative years would prove valuable in his later adventures in the American West. Wyatt Earp's early life was marked by a dynamic mix of personal growth, family experiences, and exposure to the changing national landscape, setting the stage for his transition to the Wild West as he sought his own path and adventures. Wyatt Earp's arrival in the Wild West marked the commencement of a life that would become the stuff of legend. This period was characterized by his dynamic involvement in various activities, from law enforcement to gambling and mining, forging a path that showcased his adaptability and resilience. In 1864, Wyatt's journey to the West began. He arrived in Lamar, Missouri, where he embarked on his initial steps into the frontier. His early years in the West were marked by diversity, reflecting the nature of the region itself. His experiences included cattle herding, teamster work, and even prospecting for silver in the Nebraska Territory. These undertakings shaped his understanding of the challenges and opportunities presented by the American frontier. Notably, during this period, he met and fell in love with Urilla Sutherland, whom he married in 1870. Their union was tragically short-lived as Urilla died of typhoid fever just months after their wedding. This loss deeply affected Wyatt and marked one of the early tragedies in his life. Wyatt's foray into law enforcement began when he became a constable in Lamar, Missouri. It was a significant milestone, as it was the start of his lifelong involvement in maintaining law and order in the often tumultuous western towns. In 1876, Wyatt Earp and his family moved to Dodge City, Kansas, where he took on the role of a deputy U.S. Marshal. His time in Dodge City marked a turning point as he gained a reputation for keeping the peace and maintaining order in the notorious Cowtown. It was here that he formed lasting friendships with fellow lawmen like Bat Masterson, contributing to his growing legacy in the Old West. The events in Dodge City were pivotal in Wyatt Earp's journey as a lawman. The town was known for its rowdy and violent atmosphere, and Wyatt's law enforcement experiences laid the foundation for his later roles in different western towns. The Dodge City Peace Commission, which included Wyatt, his brother Morgan, and Bat Masterson, played a crucial role in ensuring law and order in the town. Wyatt Earp's tenure in Dodge City was an essential chapter in his life, as it solidified his reputation as a lawman who could manage the rowdiest of western towns. The camaraderie he built with fellow lawmen and his early experiences dealing with the lawlessness of the West would profoundly influence his later endeavors, including the infamous gunfight at the OK Corral. This period of Wyatt Earp's life was a time of transition and self-discovery. His experiences in various professions and his early law enforcement roles in Dodge City set the stage for the legendary lawman and gambler he would become. It was a time of both personal tragedy and professional growth, and these early experiences formed the backbone of his enduring legacy in the American Old West. Wyatt Earp's life in Dodge City marked a significant phase in his journey through the Wild West. This period was characterized by law enforcement, turbulent events, and the enduring presence of his brothers, Virgil, Morgan, and James, in his life. Upon Wyatt's arrival in Dodge City in 1879, he assumed the role of Deputy U.S. Marshal, and his reputation as a lawman began to flourish. Dodge City was notorious for its rowdy and often violent atmosphere, making it a challenging place to maintain law and order. However, Wyatt, with his no-nonsense approach and cool demeanor, quickly established himself as a capable and respected enforcer of the law. This period would become a defining chapter in his law enforcement career. One of Wyatt's most notable associations during his time in Dodge City was with his lifelong friend, Bat Masterson. Their camaraderie and shared dedication to preserving law and order in the face of formidable odds were instrumental in maintaining the fragile peace in the town. Together with their fellow lawmen, they played a pivotal role in what would later become known as the Dodge City Peace Commission. The Dodge City Peace Commission, formed in 1881, included Wyatt Earp, his brothers Morgan and Virgil, and Bat Masterson. This commission aimed to mediate disputes and confrontations among the town's more notorious characters, many of whom were embroiled in disputes that could quickly escalate to violence. The efforts of this commission contributed to maintaining lawfulness in Dodge City, and Wyatt's role as a peacemaker would become a central theme in his legend. The events that would later define Wyatt Earp's legacy occurred during this time. The infamously wild gunfight at the OK Corral took place on October 26, 1881, in Tombstone, Arizona. Wyatt, Virgil, and Morgan Earp, along with Doc Holliday, confronted the Clanton and McClory factions in a 30-second gunfight. This deadly confrontation would be immortalized as one of the most iconic moments in the American Old West. The gunfight at the OK Corral was a culmination of ongoing tensions, political rivalries, and personal disputes. Wyatt Earp's role in this event, which saw the enforcement of the law amid fierce opposition, became a defining episode in his life. The aftermath of the gunfight, including legal proceedings and retaliation, further solidified Wyatt's reputation as a lawman who upheld justice even in the face of danger. The period of Wyatt Earp's life in Dodge City was one of immense significance. It was a time of relentless challenges, enduring friendships, and critical events that would shape his legacy. His tenure as a lawman, marked by the OK Corral gunfight, cemented his reputation as a fearless and unyielding enforcer of the law, and this reputation would continue to influence the events of his life in the years to come. The gunfight at the OK Corral, which occurred on October 26, 1881, in Tombstone, Arizona, stands as one of the most iconic and enduring episodes in the life of Wyatt Earp. This event, steeped in drama and violence, has become a defining moment not only for Earp, but for the entire era of the American Old West. The events leading to the gunfight were rooted in a complex web of political rivalries, personal animosities, and ongoing disputes between different factions in Tombstone. The Earps, composed of Wyatt, Virgil, and Morgan, along with their friend Doc Holliday, were aligned against the Clanton and McClory families, who were prominent in the town. Tensions had been escalating for some time, fueled by the rivalry between these factions, disputes over gambling and cattle, and an underlying struggle for power and control in Tombstone. The immediate trigger for the gunfight was a series of confrontations and threats between the two groups. On that fateful day, the two groups came face to face near the vacant lot known as the OK Corral. The Earps and Doc Holliday, armed with revolvers, confronted Ike and Billy Clanton, Frank and Tom McLaury, who were also armed. In a matter of seconds, shots were fired, and chaos erupted. The gunfight itself was brief, lasting around 30 seconds, but it resulted in several men being wounded or killed. 3 of the Clanton-McLaury party were killed, and Virgil and Morgan Earp were injured. Wyatt Earp, who had been a key figure in initiating the confrontation, was unscathed. The aftermath of the gunfight was equally tumultuous. Legal proceedings were initiated, and Wyatt Earp and his associates were initially arrested and charged with murder. The legal wrangling that followed became a part of the gunfight's complex legacy. The court eventually acquitted Wyatt and his group, determining that they had acted within the bounds of self-defense and their duties as lawmen. Despite the acquittals, the gunfight's legacy continued to stir passions and controversies, with both supporters and detractors of the Earps and Doc Holliday arguing over the righteousness of their actions. The gunfight at the OK Corral was a pivotal moment in the life of Wyatt Earp. It solidified his reputation as a lawman who would not shy away from enforcing the law, even in the face of mortal danger. It also cemented his place in the annals of the Old West, making him a legendary figure whose name would endure in American folklore. The events of that day and their repercussions would stay with Wyatt Earp throughout his life. They contributed to his reputation as a fearless enforcer of justice, but they also subjected him to ongoing conflicts, legal battles, and personal turmoil. The gunfight at the OK Corral continues to capture the imagination of those fascinated by the American Old West. It represents both the lawlessness and the enforcement of law that characterized the era, and it remains one of the enduring symbols of the rugged, untamed West, with Wyatt Earp at the heart of the legend. After the tumultuous events surrounding the gunfight at the OK Corral, Wyatt Earp's life entered a new phase, marked by a series of business ventures, personal relationships, and changes in scenery. This period would reveal a more multifaceted side of the legendary lawman. Following the gunfight, the Earps and their friend Doc Holliday faced ongoing threats and tensions in Tombstone. In what became known as the Earp Vendetta Ride, Wyatt and his posse sought vengeance against those who had threatened and attacked them. This ride involved several confrontations and the killing of several individuals who were considered hostile to the Earps. The Vendetta Ride is a complex and controversial chapter in Wyatt Earp's life. While it showcased his unwavering loyalty to his family and friends, it also raised questions about the boundaries of justice and revenge in the Wild West. The events during this period would continue to impact his reputation and legacy. After the Vendetta Ride, Wyatt and his brother Warren moved to San Diego, California, while Virgil and his wife Allie settled in Colton, California. Wyatt briefly worked in various trades, including lumber and stagecoaches. During this time, he also continued to participate in the thriving gambling scene in San Diego. In 1885, Wyatt Earp married Josephine Sarah Marcus, a former actress and dancer. Their relationship would last for the rest of Wyatt's life. This marked a significant personal development in Wyatt's life, as Josephine became an enduring presence and partner in his subsequent adventures. However, the lure of the Wild West remained strong. In 1886, Wyatt and Josephine briefly returned to Tombstone, where Wyatt invested in mining properties and attempted to secure his family's financial future. His time in Tombstone was marked by his desire to explore new business opportunities in the region, even as it held painful memories from the past. Wyatt's friendship with Bat Masterson, another legendary lawman of the Old West, endured throughout this period. The two friends became involved in the Alaska Gold Rush in the late 1890s. They set out to stake their claim in the goldfields of Nome, Alaska, a venture that showcased their enduring, adventurous spirit. This later phase of Wyatt Earp's life displayed his adaptability and the diverse paths he pursued, from law enforcement to business ventures, and even prospecting for riches in the rugged landscapes of Alaska. His friendship with Bat Masterson remained a constant throughout these years. In 1900, Wyatt and Josephine relocated to the West Coast, where Wyatt ventured into the growing world of motion pictures and the burgeoning film industry. He became friends with early Hollywood figures and even consulted on Western films, contributing to the evolving portrayal of the Wild West in popular culture. This period of Wyatt Earp's life was marked by personal and professional growth. It showcased his evolving interests and adaptability as he ventured into different industries, all while maintaining a connection to the West and to his iconic status as a lawman and gambler. His enduring friendship with Batmaster Son and his partnership with Josefina added depth to the life of this complex and legendary figure. The latter years of Wyatt Earp's life saw him transitioning into a new and unexpected role as a consultant and advisor in the burgeoning Hollywood film industry. This period also marked the cementing of his legendary status and the enduring impact of his legacy on the American Old West. The early 20th century witnessed the birth and rapid growth of the film industry in Hollywood, California. Wyatt Earp, now in his later years, found himself in a unique position to contribute to the portrayal of the Wild West in the new medium of cinema. His first-hand experiences in the Old West made him a valuable resource for filmmakers eager to depict the authenticity of the era. Earp began offering his expertise to filmmakers, advising on various aspects of Western movies, from historical accuracy to the portrayal of characters and events. His contributions helped shape the early depictions of the American frontier in cinema. Wyatt Earp's experiences and persona became central themes in early Western films. These films often drew inspiration from his adventures and law enforcement career, weaving his story into the fabric of American popular culture. While many films took creative liberties with the facts, they contributed to the mythos of Wyatt Earp as a heroic lawman and a central figure of the Old West. His life and exploits became a source of fascination and inspiration for filmmakers and audiences alike. During this period, Wyatt Earp also participated in interviews and discussions about his life and experiences. These conversations provided valuable insights into the history and culture of the American West, enriching our understanding of the era. Earp's first-hand accounts and recollections offered a window into the challenges and adventures of the Wild West. His contributions to Western history extended beyond the realm of cinema, as he shared his perspectives and stories with historians, writers, and researchers. These efforts helped preserve the history of the American frontier for future generations. On January 13, 1929, Wyatt Earp passed away in Los Angeles, California, at the age of 80. His death marked the end of an era, but his legacy endured. Earp was buried at the Hills of Eternity Memorial Park in Colma, California, alongside his wife Josephine, who had preceded him in death. Wyatt Earp's legacy continued to grow after his passing. His life and adventures remained a subject of fascination and inspiration for authors, filmmakers, and historians. The enduring popularity of Westerns in film and literature ensured that his name would live on, and his contributions to the cultural portrayal of the Old West persisted.